God, dude, I freaking hate cables. This is such a mess.
I just need a simple HDMI or a USB-C, and we got all these cables just intertwined with each other. I wish cables weren't in anything, maybe even gaming PCs.
Well, Matt, what if I told you there's a new standard of building where there's no cables?
What? I got to see that after a word from today's sponsor. Attention PC builders, do you want to save money on your Windows activation? Well, today's video sponsor, GVG Mall, has you covered. An awesome online marketplace with game keys and also Windows licenses.
It's awesome how easy it is to activate Windows. You literally just buy a key on GVG Mall using code TB20 to get a really good discount, and from there, you literally copy and paste the key into Windows, and boom, you now have an activated version of Windows.
You can get Windows 10, Windows 11, and a bunch of other different keys at GVG Mall. And be sure to use code TB20 on checkout to save money on a Windows 10, Windows 11, or any other key from GVG Mall. Big thanks again to GVG Mall for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get into it, shall we?
So obviously, guys, there still is cables, but Asus and quite a few other companies have done a great job at hiding those cables with this new generation of products. And of course, with having this new standard, we also have a new standard of cases coming out where there's a lot of different cutouts so that you can hide said cables. But the good news is, the rest of the build is pretty familiar, starting off with this. This i7-13700K, which is a 16-core, 24-thread processor, and of course, you're gonna need something to cool that. And to cool it, we need this, the Asus ROG Strix LC3 360mm AIO in white. And this is an awesome looking liquid cooler that should be plenty to cool that i7. So for the motherboard, we have an Asus TUF Z790 BTF edition. So this may look like a standard ATX motherboard, but it does have some unique features on it. Number one being this slot right here, which allows no cables to be shown on the graphics card. There's literally no PCIe cables, and this can power 600 watts. So yeah, you could throw in a BTF 4090 into this. Normally you have that tiny little plastic piece on there, but now you get this gigantic plastic release, so you're definitely not gonna have any trouble unplugging your GPU. And now when we flip over to the back side, you'll notice we have a lot of connectors, which is really weird, but this is your, CPU connectors, fans. You also have all of your front panel stuff up front, so that then you have no cables in the front side of the board. And for RAM, we have white Corsair Vengeance RAM. This is a 32 gig kit at 6,000 megahertz, and it's not super flashy or anything, but it's gonna blend into this board nicely because that's kind of what we're going for. We're going for a very good looking build that just has no cables at all. And speaking of no cables, we had to get an NVMe Gen 4 SSD. This is the WD Black SN850X, which is an awesome drive. They're very fast. We got 1 terabyte in terms of the capacity, and it's literally gonna hide underneath the heatsink, so you won't even know it's there.
Now, Jackson showed you guys that BTF connector that is on the motherboard for the graphics card, so we had to get a BTF graphics card. This is the Asus TUF Gaming RTX 4070 Ti Super BTF edition. As you can see, it comes with the additional pins to plug into the motherboard, and that is the one thing we noticed was lacking with things like Project Zero, which with Project Zero, you still had the GPU power going to the actual graphics card. This eliminates that cable and pretty much makes it now where it really is truly cableless on the front of the build, making it even more clean. Now, we have a little bit of a weird selection for the power supply. Asus was nice enough to supply most of the parts for this build, but they sent over this ROG Loki 850 watt 80 plus platinum white edition power supply. This is an SFX power supply, but it does come with the adapter bracket to where we can use it in a full-size case. Honestly, if you're building this at home, you don't necessarily need an SFX power supply. You can save some money by opting for a normal ATX unit, but yeah, this is a really cool looking power supply, and it can be used in a couple different cases. You could use this full-size case if you want to, or if you want to go mini ITX, that works well. And to round out this all-white Asus TUF build, this is the GT302 BTF, meaning it has all the cutouts, as you can see here, for the BTF connectors. When you slot in the motherboard, you'll be able to plug everything in from the back. It has a ton of ventilation in the back. It's all porous on the back side. In terms of fans, we have 4 140mm fans pre-installed. They are ARGB, and it will go very nicely with that 360mm AIO. And all in all, this is gonna be a really awesome build. We are looking over $2,000 over this PC build, and we'll do a little bit of price comparing with this BTF form factor and the non-BTF form factor, because with a new form factor like this, you are going to be paying a premium to get early adopter access. So we will see how much extra we're actually paying for this, but I think the build's going to be really clean. Probably the cleanest build we've done here on the channel. Excited to put it together and benchmark it. Let's get started. All right, guys, so we're gonna do this build a little bit different. Normally you'd see a time lapse here, but since this is our first time with BTF, we wanna give you our live reaction to building with it and some of the concerns we have about it. And one thing over there is with that cooler, kind of kills the whole no cable thing right now.
Yeah, so we did a pretty good job hiding it by running it underneath the bracket there, so you can barely see it. But one thing that you could do at home, if you're passionate about the no cable, try to find a radiator that actually has the pump built into it, because then in theory, you shouldn't need any cables running off of the cooling block.
So we need a BTF themed cooler is what we're hearing. I mean, obviously you're not really, I mean, you are still plugging this up behind the motherboard, but I don't know. Either way, that is one thing that will show cables. But we're gonna get the motherboard installed, and then we'll see what kind of port layout we have and everything, and just see the ease of use with BTF. Look at all these cables. You're not gonna see them, guys. They're gonna vanish, I promise.
Yeah, we definitely have plenty of room inside if we need to get this one behind before we do any screwing down.
There we go.
Let's see if we get it back here. I can kind of...
There it is, got it.
Gimme.
Yeah, they gave us like the world's longest USB 2 cable.
All right.
Oh, let me get that one around. Yep, all right.
So that's there. So we got that cable out of the way.
That one kind of like tucked in.
That can come down.
Yeah, that was the other thing that I think no other YouTuber has to deal with, you know, but we're like the duo channel, so it does make building a little different, because normally Matt will be in the front plugging things in while I'm handing him cables from the back and cable managing, but it does make it to where it's more of a one-person job.
Pretty much, which is, I mean, I guess doesn't really matter to anybody else besides us, but you know what, we're gonna complain about it. It's gonna make our lives different.
Different, not difficult, different.
Okay, so this case, I will say, ton of room to build in. It's just still weird knowing that all this is just gonna be nothing. There's just nothing gonna be there. It's just the cables behind the board.
Yeah, and in theory, we should be good to go ahead and screw the board down. Obviously, you know, if you're building like a, you know, micro ATX case or something and you need to run some stuff behind the board, this would be the time to do it, but I feel pretty confident with this BTF design that we don't need to do any of that.
There is one connector on the front. It's a CPU fan.
I think there's one in the back too. I think it's literally on.
I wonder why they do that.
I plugged one into the back, so I don't know.
So it's not fully behind the motherboard.
I guess it's up to you. Well, here, it's right over here.
Yeah, so there is a fan header.
Well, here, go ahead and lift it up real quick,
Yeah.
and let's see. I think there's one in the back.
Is it a CPU fan or is it?
Yeah, look, CPU.
Oh, it's
that was
optional.
channel fan.
Oh, so the main CPU fan header is actually on the front, which is kind of weird, I will say.
Can we just disable that? Like, I don't really want to plug it in the front.
I mean, yeah, we're just not plugging it in the front. I don't know why it has to be on the front. There must be some design reason for that. Maybe coolers that have long enough cables.
Yeah, that's my only guess. But I think we avoid it. If it gives us an error, we'll disable it, because all that's going to be plugged into there is one of these radiator fans. So.
Okay, well, I'll go on this side and I will put this in and feed you the cables.
That's the nice part too. Normally,
Should they go through here or here?
I think probably up top, because you're not going to see them anyways.
Okay.
So normally we have to plug in the CPU fan header and the, what is it? We have to plug in the CPU power cables before we do this, but we don't have to do that now. All right, so Matt is screwing in the radiator, which takes a lot of screws, because 360s, lots of screws. And we're gonna start plugging some stuff into the back. They did give us a lot of basically ARGB splitters, so I think everything is on these two splitters here after I plugged in the radiator stuff. And look at this, Jonah. We got 1 and 2. Now, I will say the one thing I noticed last time as the person who usually does the cable management in the back, and I remember this being a complaint now, because I remember thinking like, man, there's one thing I didn't love about having to do everything in the back, and that is when you go to cable manage, they don't really give you much more room in the back here. I mean, if you look, basically from here to here is all the room that we get for cable management and anything else to be shoved in the back. We got a lot more stuff in the back now, not to mention connectors that are coming straight out, not at an angle. So for something like this to be cable managed, I have to really pay attention when I'm actually bundling everything together that it's still plugged in properly. So my one complaint, could be a lot worse, so we'll run with it. It's fine. I guess we'll keep doing the build.
Best part is I can put the GPU in while he's doing the cable management.
You can basically finish.
I could just... Yeah, the one thing that I do need to look into a little bit more is how these GPUs will be supported in the long term. Obviously, BTF, they're really going for a new, basically form factor, and they want this to be adopted across a bunch of manufacturers and motherboards. But if that doesn't end up happening, what's really gonna happen to these graphics cards that use this connector? This connector that has no other alternatives to be able to power it. If the motherboards don't exist or they become super rare, this really nice graphics card that would last somebody, what, 5 or 6 years? Who really just play normal games all the time, won't work very well. So That's my one concern with this form factor, and I'll have to see what ASUS plans on doing in terms of support for these GPUs or any other manufacturer that makes these, but that's the one thing just on paper looking at these that I do have some concerns about. It's so weird, there's nothing happening over here. I feel like I just got nothing to do.
Would you believe it? I plugged in everything.
Everything's plugged in. Do you feel like it was quicker?
You know, honestly, it was really good. It's easy to see is how I describe it, because normally when Matt's plugging in all these things at the bottom, you have that basement that's like kind of blocking your field of view. I can see everything from here, so that's definitely a plus.
Now we gotta make sure these both line up properly. So we'll line it up with the top slot and the additional slot. Oh, what? And then we push. Okay, so I guess this is the release lever for both of them, or yeah, probably, yeah, for both. So yeah, this actually will hold into place as well. So that's in there very nicely. Any sag, Jonah?
No, not really.
I feel like having that extra piece on the motherboard probably would help with rigidity also.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's gonna take a while to get used to this. The build's gonna almost look like it's not finished because it doesn't have anything like going to the motherboard and stuff, but hey, becomes a new standard, you know. It's the easiest way to make a super clean PC build. There are some really clean builds you can do with cables, especially custom cables if you know how to use them right, but this is like, if you're just a beginner PC builder, obviously it's a little bit of a learning curve, just knowing some of the weirdness of the connectors behind there. But honestly, if you're learning to build a PC for the first time and you've never even seen the normal connector style, just kind of use this and you'll not know any better and you'll build super clean gaming PCs.
And honestly, if I feel like if you go from this to a normal build, you're gonna be kind of like, ew, what is all this?
Yeah, why is this showing? I don't like it.
Yeah, they have these kind of cool little like plastic clips to hold your cables. Yeah, so far, so what I'm having to do for the spots like this is I basically tie it and then basically pull out a little bit of slack just to make sure that when we push this down, we're not gonna yank any connectors out, because I can guarantee, especially for beginners, that will probably be something that'll happen. I like how they did all this front panel stuff, how it has like its own like little run over there. All right, I'm gonna cut these and then we'll make sure we'll turn it on and see if everything actually is plugged in right. Oh.
It looks cool. I like it. Is
Yeah,
that block supposed? I guess it would be software probably if it has an RGB mode. I guess.
Yes.
Oh, there it goes. It just took a little second. There you go. All right, I'm gonna find some people at PC Bros who will take a gander and see if they know what's wrong with the build.
What's right with the build?
What's right with the build? I don't know. So we got Hunter. Here you go. Just hold the microphone, talk into it.
Hello.
This is a hefty font right here.
I feel like it's so obvious that I'm like not seeing it. Where is the power? Where's the cables at?
Oh.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
What if we told you this is the future, Hunter?
Is this the future?
No cables, wireless.
Dude, that actually looks awesome. All right, please show me now.
All right, come here. Everything's here, so instead of on the main side, it's on the back, so you don't see any of the cables in the final build.
Pretty fire.
That is an awesome build.
I was waiting for me like, so wait, so what's wrong with it? So what's different?
So what's different? What's wrong with it? Yeah, no cable build looks pretty good. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this is like really clean. And yeah, the build process was pretty easy and straightforward, nothing too complicated. That's what I like to see with new technology like this. Make it super easy for PC builders to get into and recommend. Now that we've finished building, let's play some games on it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are playing Apex Legends. We're currently at 1440p. We're running basically high settings, not quite like max, but honestly, we could be doing max because we're getting 144 locked FPS right now. And yeah, it feels really good. Very high quality. I'm not getting like any screen tearing, no stutters, I mean nothing. It's just like incredibly smooth gameplay that I definitely cannot complain about. Wow, I got obliterated. Ooh, that guy just almost murdered me. Oh, goodness. That is, oh, I thought it was something like that. Oh my gosh, that person's a freak. They actually followed me down. No, dude, why am I so bad? Oh god, that's a knife, that's a knife. Not good. Oh, now we have the knife. Let me get that last kill, please. Oh, I did it! Minus my teammates being very mad, very mean to each other. That was a good game. Constant 144 FPS, no screen tearing, 1440p, high settings, very easy for this thing. You could definitely play 4K on it. Let's go ahead and test out another game.
All right, guys, we're playing the finals. We are on pretty much maxed out settings at 1440p. No DLSS, or it's on auto. Epic settings on the preset.
Epic
So,
ray tracing too.
and ray tracing.
Dude,
so,
look at the freaking shadows and like
dude,
light.
it is looking beautiful.
It's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of like your choice of what you want. If you want high FPS, you obviously, go 1440p lower settings or 4K lower settings, but
Yeah.
just because we have it, why not use it?
Normally I'm like I like maxing out my frame rate, so I might end up switching mid-game to see, and I'll let you guys know, of course, where we're at. What is going on?
Master. Have you
Oh,
played
it's
this?
because of the platform, yeah.
Yeah, the platform like breaks through everything.
Wait, how do I get, okay. Where up?
You don't really need one to feel like you're good at the game.
Oh my god, I tried going in. Woo! Oh, it's over for me, boys.
What are they doing? Ring around the rosy? Oh, you gotta get your grenade on that.
Oh my,
thing.
oh my.
Oh, whoa. I like this mode just because of how destructive everything is. Like everything's just breaking constantly. It's so similar to your one.
Last minute, but I'm turning on DLSS just to see how much. I just want to see because I think at home I'm on a 4070 Ti, and I think I run DLSS, and I'm running like at least like 200 FPS, I think.
I don't even know if I have it bound.
No, it's over.
I don't believe in punching. Oh, I think
Sudden
you guys
death?
won.
Oh my god, we can win.
Yeah, you guys won. As long as you don't touch it.
Oh, let's
yeah.
go. What a close game.
That's 2 games won so far on this awesome PC. All right, guys, we just got done benchmarking the BTF build, and I would say it was very successful. Not only does this thing look sick with absolutely no cables, but the fact that we played 1440p and it's 4K ready, but at 1440p, we managed to maintain over 100 FPS in every single game, even at higher setting, which is pretty dope. And on top of that, you'd be pretty surprised at the time splice. We got a score of 23,238, which is a 9 cent per point, which normally doesn't happen with higher end builds. So even though BTF seems like it would cost a lot more, somehow they've managed to make it cost about the same as any other high/mid-range build. The building process really was pretty easy. If it was just one person building this PC, it's nice because you just basically put everything in the front and then from there you plug everything into the back of the build rather than having to turn the build back and forth. But I will say the cable management is a little bit harder on these builds, especially if you don't have a ton of room in the back, but it seems like they're designing these cases pretty well around the BTF lineup. Now obviously the graphics card, you do have that limitation of the power going in the back through the board, so you will have to make sure that you have a compatible graphics card and a compatible motherboard, which hey, in the future could be kind of slim pickings, but hopefully this sticks around. I want to know down below, what do you guys think of BTF? Do you like the idea of not having the sleeve cables come down here, or do you actually think it adds some nice flair to a build? But as always, we hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, check out our other 2 YouTube channels and also our twitch.tv/toastybros. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And guess what, guys? Right after I finish filming this, Jonah is actually going to go list this PC right here. So you can get a great deal on this gaming PC. We typically sell them close to what we build them for, and you get a 1-year parts and labor warranty. They get Windows pre-installed, they're tested, they're activated, they're literally good to go when they show up to your doorstep, so you don't have to do any of the thinking. So don't forget, guys, PCBros.tech, use code ToastyBros2 on checkout to save 2%. See you guys later.
Bye-bye.